I know that budgets and timelines are big problems when it comes to creating a product, but some mistakes are just easy to avoid and will end up making your product look dope and polished. In this video, I'll talk about 5 common mistakes that end up making your product look cheap. Comment with how many of these you've seen in the products that you use every day. Hey, my name's Akash. I have a decade of product experience. I'm a Harvard MBA grad and angel invest in startups. Subscribe for ways to level up your product management skills and career. Let's go. Using pixelated graphics and images. This is a big one because visuals and graphics are usually the first thing that products notice and see about your product. And if your graphics are pixelated or blurry, it just gives the impression that your product is cheap and unfinished. So make sure that you use high resolution images and graphics that are crisp and clear, and avoid using low quality images at all costs. Inconsistent branding and design. A cohesive and consistent branding and design language will make your product look amazing and very professional. Avoid using a Chipotle bowl of fonts, graphics, formatting, and designs. Instead, pick specific fonts, colors, and graphic elements to use throughout your product. This will make your product much more valuable for customers and even create a brand impression for them whenever they come back to your app or product. If you've ever used the app Headspace, they do a great job of making sure everything is aligned and consistent from a design perspective throughout the app. On the other hand, one of the clear examples of a product that was badly designed and inconsistent was Microsoft Windows 8. The operating system had a hodgepodge of different fonts, colors, and designs used throughout the product, making it look very confusing and unintuitive to the customers. What Microsoft wanted to do was create a version of Windows that would work both on desktops as well as tablets. But in trying to appeal to both types of devices and both types of customers, they ended up not appealing to either of the two of them and just confusing their value proposition and design for both sets of customers. Third one is not proofreading your content. This might seem super obvious to you, but you'd be surprised at how many typos and mistakes get put into final products that are released to customers. Typos and grammar mistakes just make your product look unprofessional and unfinished. It makes it look like you haven't spent enough time just thinking and looking and using the product yourself. With tools like Grammarly, there is really no excuse for bad grammar or typos in professional content, or even use a professional proofreader who can come in and go through all your material to make sure there's just no typos. That's easy to do, and I'm sure there's someone on your team who can play the role of a proofreader. This is the most low effort way to make sure that your product doesn't look hacked together. In my other video, I talked about how this mistake is a critical error for resumes, but the same thing holds true for products itself. Any grammar mistakes, any typos, and I'm not going to use that because it means that the product managers, developers, and company hasn't spent enough time on the product, so I don't have high hopes and expectations of how the experience itself is going to be. Not testing your product across various devices. Today, the market is just made up of various different devices of all different form factors, from small phones to big phones, to folding phones, to rotary phones, to half screen, half keyboard. I mean, everything that you can think of. Failing to test your product on a variety of different device form factors can lead to a lot of different problems. The product may seem fine on the latest iPhone, but if you haven't tested it on the iPhone SE or the iPhone from 4 years ago, which a lot of customers are still using to this day, that could cause a big problem for your customer base. This sort of unoptimized design and UX leads to frustrated customers who will leave your app immediately. So even after they've taken the efforts to actually download and use your app, they're going to leave immediately because of something that could have been easily avoided through some basic testing. You, the product manager, are responsible for controlling the user experience for when your customers actually use the product. So without testing your product across different form factors and devices, you are opening yourself up to a level of uncontrollable frustration from the customers, which could have been easily fixed and avoided through some basic testing. And finally, and most importantly, is poor handling of advertising. Now, don't get me wrong, ads are important. There's a ton of models and companies, including Facebook, Google, who have built their entire business on top of an ad-based business model. But handling these ads is the difference between a cheap product and a nicely designed product. Poorly placed ads are like the 2000s, where when you were trying to scroll a website, all you got was pop-ups and ads coming at you from all directions, which was just leading you to shut the website and decide to jump ship altogether. So there's two common mistakes around ads that you want to make sure that you are avoiding. The first is just bad placement of the ads in the product. If a software has ads in the middle of the interface, that's going to distract the customer from what they are looking at, and that is a surefire way for these customers to churn away from your product. Having less customers then means that you need to place more ads to make the same revenue, leading to more and more of the same problems, and eventually leading to a runaway problem where you can't sustain your business just based on ads. And the second is just having ads that are irrelevant to the content or to the user. Relevant ads can do wonders for brands and advertisers because they're able to target the kinds of customers who are actually interested in your product. Anyone who's used Instagram knows that ads being personalized are very powerful. I mean, I've bought a ton of stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise just because I saw them as ads in my Instagram feed, and Instagram knows exactly what my preferences are and what kinds of ads and products I'm more likely to click on. So next, here is a personalized video that you are going to find very interesting and very valuable.